Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Joe Davis from Southern New Hampshire University. This mini lecture is not attached to any specific assignment. One of the most difficult things for rookie police officers, investigators, parole agents, correctional officers to do is to master the skills to talk to people. What I'd like to offer to you is a three-step interview process for the way you can conduct an interview, not an interrogation. We're talking about victims and witnesses here. Okay? The three steps are: the first thing is the subject tells the story. The second is the subject retells the story and the officer takes notes. The third thing is the officer reads notes back to the informant. Three simple steps. Okay? In that first step, the officer listens, keeping the subject on track, giving him or her verbal and nonverbal clues to keep the story flowing. The officer doesn't take any notes, tries to establish a rapport with the subject. The officer is also checking whether he or she has jurisdiction, determining what crime, if any, has occurred, and watching for any signs of untruthfulness or discrepancies. At the conclusion of this phase, the officer should know what occurred and what action he or she must take, and specifically the type of report to complete. First phase, your worry is not to get all the identifying information, it's to put the informant at ease and you have an understanding of what occurred. Phase 2, or the second step, the officer now has the subject at ease and gathers identifying information from the subject. Okay, the officer asks questions and guides the subject through the story a second time. The officer has already determined the type of event and what reports or actions he or she must take. So during this phase, the officer establishes the chronological order and the corpus delicti of the crime. The officer asks questions in the specific order that she or he wants to write the report, thereby organizing as he or she interviews and take notes. So you're organizing your report during the interview in step 2 or phase 2. Phase 3, the officer reviews their notes and reads them back to the informant. This allows both the officer and the informant to catch any mistakes or omissions. It also represents the first time the officer writes the report, because in reading your notes out loud, he or she is actually dictating the report. In a most simple example, phase 1. Hi, I'm Deputy Davis. What happened? Well, I left for work this morning and everything was okay, and I came home and my house was a mess. Somebody had come in and thrown all my stuff around, and they took some of my money, they took my gun. It's terrible, so I don't have any idea who did this. So they ramble on a little bit and you let them. Step 2, you go back, you take out your notepad and you say, excuse me, can I get your name and address please, and your phone number? And do you have a work number? All the information you need to fill in the boxes. That allows you to collect it because you need it, but also it slows them down a stride and shows them that you really are going to do something. All right, let me make sure I understand. You left for work this morning. What time was that? Oh, I left at 7. I always have to leave at 7. Okay, and was the house locked up and secure? Yeah. Do you have a roommate? No, I live alone. Anybody else have access to the house? No. Okay, then what happened? Well, I came home about 5 o'clock and looks like somebody kicked in the back door. Oh, you're kidding me. Well, can you show me that? Sure. And what's missing? Well, from my dresser drawer, I had a handgun in there. And so then you go through it. In step 3, you read your notes back. Mr. Jones, let me make sure I have this right. You left for work at 7 o'clock. Your house was secure. No one had permission to be in your home. When you came home at 5 o'clock, you noticed that the back door had been kicked in. When you went in the bedroom, blah, 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 blah. I hope that helps. Just a quick 3-step interview process. Let me know. Cards, keep the cards and letters coming. Thanks.